Good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Matthias Holtz, and I'm the president of Europa Cinemas. It's my pleasure to introduce this first session of the network conference that's named Focus on the Baltic Countries. It's kind of a tradition to start the network conference with a focus on the host nation and region, and it's a tradition that we're very happy to keep. And I want to thank our Lithuanian hosts who have contributed a lot to this session and made it possible. And thank you to you. And I would also like to say that maybe the Baltic states is kind of an outside perspective. And what we really mean when we say the Baltic states is three countries. It's Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, each with their own structure and their own markets and own set of challenges. And that's why I'm so happy that in the panel we have today, we have representatives of all three countries who are engaged in exhibition and distribution and the festival circuit. So thank you all for joining the panel. Also, I'd like to thank Martin BLANEY, who is a journalist with Screen International, based in Germany, but with extensive knowledge of our business and especially Eastern Europe. So without further ado, I would like to leave the word to Martin, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you very much, Matthias. Thank you. It's great to be back here in Vilnius. I've been here at the festival for many years, and it's good to come back and see how the city is thriving, and to hear all about the what's going on in the cinema and distribution sectors here in the region. I'd just like first of all to introduce the panel, and before we hear their different contributions. And we will have also time for you to ask questions later during the session this morning. So please, if you have any particular questions, feel free, because there will be microphones which will be available for you to ask questions of the panelists here, or to make any comments you might have yourselves. So from my far right, your left, is Ada KOPPEL, who is from the industry at Tallinn and Baltic event project manager from the Tallinn Black Nights Festival. We were all there last week at the Black Nights Festival, many of us, and quite a big event. We'll hear all about that that festival's role in promoting both exhibition, distribution, and production in the region and also internationally. Next to her is Maris PROMBERGS, director of Kino Bize from Riga, from Latvia. Next to her, is Kristi PORILA, head of cinema and program at Thule Kino in Estonia. And then Gintaras PLYTNIKAS, the CEO.
Excellent.
Thank you. It's not always easy with the, especially the Lithuanian Latvian names, I have to say. That's right. CEO Forum Cinemas here in Lithuania, in Vilnius, but you also run cinemas in another 3 cities here in Lithuania. And then is Miglė MORKØNAITÄ, head of theatrical marketing and distribution for ACME Film Baltics, based here in Latvia. And next to her is Algirdas RAMAŠKA, CEO of Vilnius Film Festival and Keynote Pavasaris distribution. Many hats, and we'll hear all about that as well. But first of all, I would like to ask Ada to give us an overview of the situation here, distribution production in the 3 Baltic countries. Thank you.
Can I have the slides? Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Dear colleagues, distinguished guests, cinema friends. It's an honor here to join you at the European Cinemas Conference here in Vilnius. And today in the panel we focus on the strengths and the resilience of the Baltic cinema. Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania share the rich cultural bond with unique stories and voices. But yet we face shared challenges as well. In this panel, I would like to highlight our progress, reflect on the recent results, and explore the ways how we can grow stronger together. As you can see, here is the sheet that shows how this annual state support in the film industry has developed over the past decade. The state support has grown significantly. In Estonia, Estonia increased the funding from 7 million in 2014 to nearly 20 million in 2024. Lithuania's funding rose from 3 million in 2015 to almost 10 million in 2024. And Latvia saw the increase from 5.7 million to 8.5 million in 2024. This investment has led to production of more films with larger budgets sometimes, and increase of co-productions. Additionally, more investments are made also in other sectors of the film industry. But these investments come with a greater competition as well. Domestic films must compete with international films, which are often supported by larger marketing budgets. And here you can see how the admission data has changed over the past decade. The region peaked in 2019, 2018, and with Lithuania setting the record of 4.2 million admission in 2018, Estonia fallen 3.7 million in 2019, and the Latvia's highest was 2.7 million on the same year. And admissions per capita also hit their highest level in 2018. It was 2.75 in Estonia, which is one of the highest also in Europe, 1.53 in Lithuania, and 1.3 in Latvia. These numbers show us the strong appetite for cinema, particularly for domestic films, which shows surge in market share during this period as well. But, as you can see, the pandemic disrupted this momentum. And while the recovery is underway, it remains uneven. Estonia leads the region with a 2.06 admission per capita in 2023, but none of these countries have yet returned to the peak we had in 2018-2019. But now let's talk about the market shares. Here on this sheet you can see the domestic market share, but what is common in all three Baltic countries, that US films continue to dominate the market. In 2023, the US market share was more than 65% in all three countries. It was lowest in Estonia with a 46%, highest in Latvia with a 77%, and 66% in Lithuania. European films hold a much smaller market share, and also domestic films face declining penetration. Let's jump into this year, into 2024 for a moment. Estonia's market share in 2023 was 21%, almost 22%, but this year it's just 11%. And similar declines are seen also in Latvia and Lithuania. So that emphasizes the urgent need to boost local markets and to ensure that Baltic stories are heard and seen. Domestic films are a key part of our cultural identity. So, and as you can see from this slide, Estonia's market share was the highest in 2023, and it was only 4% in 2014. And Latvia and Lithuania, as you can see, face the similar challenges. Latvia's domestic market share fell from 22% in 2018 to 8% in 2023. And Lithuania, which once had close to 30% market share, dropped to 14%. And I guess these numbers reflect not just producing quality films, but also improve marketing and distribution strategies to connect with the audiences. But let's talk about cinema infrastructure. Cinema infrastructure has seen also significant improvements. Lithuania now leads the region with 110 screens, and it was like only 77 screens in 2014. Latvia and Estonia have also expanded, offering world-class facilities and immersive viewing experiences. However, there are challenges. In Estonia, for example, 75% of the cinemas are controlled by one company, which limits the diversity of offerings. Independent cinemas, many part of the European cinemas network, focusing mostly on European and art house films, are struggling to survive. But these smaller venues are essential for cultural diversity and must be supported. Also, ticket prices have risen sharply. In Estonia, the average ticket price increased from 4.9 euros in 2014 to 7.5 in 2023. And similar trends are seen also in Latvia and Lithuania. Although it reflects improved quality, it also raises a question about the affordability, which is essential. Our greatest strength is collaboration. Successful co-productions showcase the power of shared resources and talent. Festivals like Tallinn Black Nights Film Festival, Vilnius Film Festival, Riga International Film Festival, and the others provide a central platform to promote our films and bring these to global audiences. To move forward, we must, firstly, strengthen cross-border collaboration, expand distribution networks to ensure that Baltic films reach audiences across the region and beyond. Secondly, invest on marketing. Prioritize campaigns that make Baltic films more visible. for local audiences and support festivals. Use them as alternative platforms for showcasing and distributing films, particularly for niche and art house productions. I can see the future of the Baltic cinema as collaboration. We have tools, talent, and resilience to turn today's challenges into opportunities. Together, we can ensure that the voices of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania resonate on the screens at home and around the world. So let's continue to share stories, collaborate across borders, and ensure the bright future of Baltic cinema. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ada. Before I go to the other panelists, I would just like to give a few reflections from my own as far as the region, what I've experienced over, well, almost now 20 years coming here to this part of the world. As far as Lithuania is concerned, well, first of all, when you come here, you think, oh, they can all communicate with each other. The Estonians with the Lithuanians with the Latvians. You'll find that they're mainly talking English to each other because their languages are not something which they can all understand. Maybe the older generation would speak Russian as well, but English, it seems to be, when I've been with people, that they communicate in English. So English is seems to be the common language between you, from what my experience has been. So that's something which is interesting, and no doubt, as we will hear, affects how films travel within the region from one Baltic state to the other. Looking at Lithuania, what do the following have common? Tokyo, Jack the Ripper, Chernobyl, and Germany. Here in Lithuania, they've shot films here. Jack the Ripper was shot here. The HBO series, part of that was shot here as well, Chernobyl. And a film set in Tokyo, they found locations here. And there's in actual fact a German TV movie which is shooting here at the moment, here in Lithuania, thanks to cash rebates, incentives and the like, which also exist in the other three countries. But there are films that you probably have heard of in the past, and in recent years, a film called Runner, or The Summer of Sanguale. And now this year, Slow won the directing prize in Sundance, and the film Toxic won the main prize in Locarno, the Golden Leopard, and another 2 prizes. So Lithuania has really been in the focus as far as festivals, international festivals are concerned. In actual fact, as far as this particular country, Lithuania, as an interesting location, it was back in the 1990s with Warner Brothers having Robin Hood was shooting here, and that really pushed this particular region, and Lithuania in particular in that case, as far as being an interesting location for film production. Also Sissy, the TV series you might have seen or heard of, and War and Peace with Helen Mirren was also shot here. Sorry, Catherine the Great was shot here, but War and Peace as well, the TV series. In Estonia, again, there are films that you may have heard of and possibly programmed yourselves. The Class, Names in Marble, Tangerines, which was a co-production with Georgia, which was Oscar nominated. But many of you may not have known that Tenet by Christopher Nolan was largely shot in Tallinn. And they were very proud of that, and was a great promotion of the region. Possibly people also came from Lithuania and Latvia to work on the crew, I expect, because they needed a lot of people for that major production. Even Stalker by Tarkovsky was shot there as well. And there was now a film called Never Alone, a Finnish production which had its world premiere last week in Tallinn, which was also co-produced with Estonia as well. And now a recent hit, you will have known, Smoke, Sauna and Sisterhood, which is also with Estonia. In Latvia, there again, Catherine the Great was partly shot there. A Korean film, Harbin, the German series Sissi also came to Latvia to shoot. And Sergei Loznitsa, A Gentle Creature. I came in, it was 2006, it was the last weekend of the World Cup, and I came to Riga to see the film Midsummer Madness by Alexander Hahn, which was shooting there. So that was my first experience of Latvia. But Latvian films, you may have heard of and programmed yourselves, The Chronicles of Melanie, Foam at the Mouth, have been there, as well as the crime comedy, The Foundation of General Excellence, and quite an interesting phenomenon which originated from Latvia was the comedy, the romantic comedy Swingers, which was first produced in Latvia, and then there was a remake by the same director from Latvia in Estonia, and then Finland, and then Ukraine, and the Netherlands, and I also made a remake, and these films traveled to other countries as well. So that was an interesting phenomenon from Latvia, Swingers. That was just a little run through of some titles that you may have seen at festivals or, as I say, programmed in your own cinemas from the region. And from that point, I would now like to move on to look at 3 sectors, but we can expand as and how the panelists and you in the audience feel with distribution, exhibition, and festivals, and the different roles that these play in the region, the challenges, the future prospects. And I'd start with Miglė from ACME. If you can tell us, you're the largest independent film distributor here in the 3 countries, operating in the 3 countries. If you can tell us about what, how you position yourself and what are, yes, challenges, as we say, you're faced on distributing in these 3 countries.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so hello everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. So yes, ACME Film is one of the leading film distributors in the Baltics. As mentioned, we are the biggest distributor of independent films, but we also work with major studios, with Sony and Warner Brothers, and we also work with the local producers on distributing national films. I wanted to add a little bit first maybe to Edda's presentation on the market situation in general. So how we see the end of this year, so that we see that Lithuania should actually end up having the highest all-time box office for the industry. And Latvia should be more or less flat compared to last year, while Lithuania should grow around 7%, and Estonia should end up around -12% or so compared to last year. And given that the most of the major and independent title releases are kind of similar, we see that the difference in the performance of the industry directly correlates to the performance of the national films and their share. And actually in Lithuania, it is increasing, and this year it should grow from 15% around last year. I'm talking about box office. In distribution, we talk mostly about box office share, not admissions. So from around 15% to around 23 or 24%. And while in Latvia the share is also growing this year, it has turned around since the release of Flow, the popular animation, which has turned around the box office trend for Latvia actually since September. And in Estonia, as mentioned in the previous presentation, the local share has dropped quite significantly from like 20% to 15 or so. And this very much correlates to the privately funded commercial films, which in Lithuania we have had several big successes. In the beginning of the year we had one comedy, one documentary, which each of them did more than Barbie and Oppenheimer. First quarter, just for you to imagine, first quarter, 43% of the total box office of the industry was generated by 3 commercial films. So, I mean, almost every second person, like every third person going to the cinema went to see those films. So, and we see in general the trend of these comedy sequels being like a money grabber and fighting with majors in Lithuania. In Latvia, Estonia, the genres are quite different. Estonians have had a very strong year last year with the remakes of popular comedy classics and also with literary works like book adaptations for film. So these have worked very well last year, and this year the local, let's say, privately funded productions were not as successful, and we see this in the total result of the industry decline. And what, in terms of independent titles, we work a lot with independent film studios, and we're the biggest distributor of them. And a big trend here is that animations, independent animations, still work very well across the 3 countries, I would say. Sometimes even mediocre quality independent animation can deliver very good results if it's dated well. So it very much boils down to dating. And I would say it also boils down to the effort of the distributor in terms of promoting it. We are really happy to have European media support for European productions, which really helps us to take more risks, to invest in more visibility for the independent titles. And we have had some big successes as well, which I can name. So recently, 10 Lives, which is not EU production, but UK production, the animation became the all-time highest grossing independent animation in Lithuania. And just for you to imagine, it's bigger than, let's say, Wish from last year, bigger than Coco. It's 3 times bigger than If or Little Mermaid, and it's an indie animation. We had similar results with the Ukrainian film Mavka, where it was released 1 week after Universal's animation and did twice more box office here. So there is a big opportunity. And from our side, how we try to push, let's say, these films is we really try to find partners, brands, media partners, where we sometimes get so much media value that it's much bigger than our all ad pub. And in our small countries, our budgets, even for major films, because we work with them, are very small compared to, let's say, big advertisers. And when we work with big media channels, with brands, with influencer agencies and things like that, if we put effort in approaching them with or offering partnerships, barter deals, the value we can get can boost the results, let's say, at least the reach, the marketing campaign, engagement, significantly. And I think for small markets, in terms of distribution, it is very visible, let's say, when the distributor puts effort in these kind of things. And another topic is about collaboration, I would say. So at ACME Film, we have, our head office is here in Lithuania, and we have small teams in Latvia and in Estonia. And we collaborate actually a lot. We not only align our release plans, our estimates for films and budgets, of course, depending on local historical, let's say, performance of such films, but we also work together on marketing strategy, on positioning of the films, on localizations, and which approach do we take, because very often, because these countries are quite different. Let's say Lithuania is a horror market. I think it also corresponds to the fact that the audience in Lithuania skews a little bit younger if you look at market data, consumer data. So probably correlates to the fact why we love horrors here. Also, let's say Lithuanians love Lithuanian women love female targeted books, and these kind of book adaptations have been a huge success here. Starting, let's say Twilight was a phenomenon everywhere, but let's say After was much stronger in Lithuania, and recently Where the Crawdads Sing was #4 release in the whole industry 2022. And It Ends With Us this year, which we also released, is bigger than Dune 2, it's bigger than Deadpool in Lithuania, so in terms of box office. So we are an outlier worldwide in this sense, and we see that it also kind of correlates with the book readership and circulation. So in Estonia, we have around twice smaller circulation, twice smaller box office, and the Latvians somehow don't really like reading this kind of novels. So we see that these films do not deliver. So as you see, there are some cultural differences as well. But we try to, our local teams really try to dip into these, let's say, cultural differences. And in terms of other alignment, I think that between countries, I think what's also important is negotiation power in our case, that we can negotiate with vendors, for example, on prices to provide us, I know, printing or design services for 3 countries instead of 1. So we can save costs in that sense. We can work on pan-Baltic partnerships. We have some long-term partners. For example, we work with Omniva, with pan-Baltic on media, as a media channel, as a film partner. And we have had some very big pan-Baltic brand partnerships with supermarket chains and so on, delivering a huge value. So I think this kind of collaboration with brands and companies and media providers which work across the countries can help to boost the marketing campaigns. Also talking about, yes, like even some small releases. One last thing to mention, maybe you talked about the languages. So we do have different languages, but the share of Russian speakers is significantly higher in Latvia and in Estonia. And we have dual subtitles there, and we also have Russian dubbed versions for family films. And those sometimes gather around 40% or sometimes even more of the box office. So it's also a significant difference if you think about the language.
Yes. And as far as, yes, the family and children animation films especially, in the 3 countries, they would be dubbed into Estonian, dubbed into Latvian and Lithuanian because of the children. They can't read subtitles. Otherwise, say, films that you have from Sony or Warner, if they're in English, then you have the English original, and then you would have Lithuanian subtitles or Latvian, Estonian. So a bit like the Dutch. That's why the people here are very good at English, because they're hearing English a lot. Although I don't know if any of you watched television last night. I was watching TV, local television, and you either have the lector, as the famous lector from Poland, where one person just reads monotonously the script, or else you have. I then saw that there were 2 people who were, the women's voices were by a woman and the man but they still were just really reading it. It wasn't dubbed, because you could still hear the original English or Spanish or whatever. So as far as TV is concerned, it would only be then probably the children's animation, which is dubbed completely without any original voices.
Yes, on TV we have mostly voiceovers, as you mentioned, for feature films and animations. We dub locally here. We work with local also dubbing talents, and also, let's say, media support. European media support really helps us to have a better quality dubbing, you know, and invite maybe some famous actors who could also advertise the film on their channels. So it's really beneficial for the results of independent films.
Yes.
And maybe last thing is about local productions as well. So we at ACME Film, we also work with state-funded local productions. And we are also now distributing The Southern Chronicles, which just won the Best Baltic film in Tallinn. And I would add that with the local productions, state support is also very important for the distribution part. We do receive it, but let's say the amounts are significantly different. In Estonia, it's possible to get 3 times more state support for distribution than in Lithuania, for example. And in terms of the size of our campaigns, it can make a huge difference in what kind of activities we can organize.
Yes. And another film which was in Tallinn last week, Tasty, a local comedy, which is had its world premiere. I remember this was at the Baltic event in Tallinn in 2020. It was only online. And at the time, I gave it an award to the production, Best Pitch Award. And then 2 years later, it had a sales company which came on board. And yes, then it was the 9th, I think, the 9th of November, that they had their world premiere parallel in KOPPEL and in Tallinn, and then last week in Cork at the film festival. Now it's being released this week here in Lithuania. Will it be in the other countries as well?
Well, it depends. It depends on the performance. I'm quite skeptical in terms of, let's say, pan-Baltic successes of local films. Let's say Lithuanian films released in Latvia and in Estonia. We haven't had good examples actually in history. I would say animations could be one of these where it's dubbed, because our audiences are used to hearing the languages that they understand, so which is English or like local languages or maybe Russian for Latvia, Estonia. And there are, of course, festival audiences which are used to watching films in the local language with subtitles, but the majority of cinema goers, unfortunately, not. And the perception of, let's say, Latvian or Estonian or Lithuanian cinema being very qualitative, it's not really, I would say, in terms of consumers. Again, I would really separate, let's say, the festival audience, which follows the festival wins, these kind of films, with the kind of commercial audience, which it's very hard to convince to watch like a Latvian or Estonian film.
Right, because you have another film I see in Latvia, Black Velvet, which will be releasing as well. It's at Net now in February. Yes, so this is another one.
Velvet was from this year.
From this year, yes, which was a co-production with Lithuania as well. So that, and then I see for your lineup in Estonia. I mean, there are films like The Room Next Door, which you have coming up, and this Lord of the Rings animation, and Bagman. And then a film which was in Estonia last week, Wet Monday, a Polish-Estonian film, coming-of-age film, which will be released. Interesting, again, looking on your website, I think it was a year ago, you had a donate blood and you get a cinema ticket for Saw X. Can you tell us about, have you done other similar activities?
Yes, with Saw, we started it years ago with one of the like 5th movie or something. I think now it's the 10th movie. So we had started these blood drives, and it works quite well in Lithuania, because we, as mentioned, we are like a horror territory. A lot of students do donate blood, and we go to, and these organizations then go to universities to take the blood and have our roll-ups, our advertising for the film. You know, so it's both a socially, let's say, responsible activity and advertising. Another similar activity was for 10 Lives, the animation mentioned. We did with Forum Cinemas here in Lithuania, also special screenings for where you donate, let's say, to certain organizations. And it's not only socially responsible acts, but we also receive quite a lot of advertising through their communities. And communities in such small countries are very important to tap into those communities.
Yep. Good. So maybe this will be an inspiration from some of you in the audience for future activities to get people to come to your cinema. Thank you very much, Miglė. Kristi, can I move to you, because you have 2 hats, I could say, distribution and exhibition. Maybe we can talk about your distribution, what your activity there at Film Stop, yes?
Yes. So I've been in distribution and cinema for 12 years, and then from this major part, 9 years, I was in one of the leading companies then, Must Käsi, and it was somewhat easy to do a distribution then. Now I opened my own company, and all the market has changed a lot. So as I see it also in two hats, as I'm managing also the cinema and the distribution, I would say that big eye-opener for me was last week this publication of European Audiovisual Observatory numbers, which states that in 10 years there are 23% more European films made, but then the admissions for European films are down -35%, and that is a huge number. So I think it's important to bring out that I really like what ACME is doing, but in Estonia there are two leading distributors. One is Estonian Theatrical Distribution, 56%, and ACME is 31%. So from all the market, 87%, which is, I would say, a lot. It's not a bad thing, but it's about content, what we are showing. So if I may say that if 75% of Estonian market is done by Apollo, Multiplex cinema, and they are deciding what to screen and what not, then we are really like shifting, I think, maybe in the farther away from smart and educational content. And of course they can start to implement those programs in their cinema, but often they say that, okay, but we screen European films, but no one is watching them, which is also true. I mean, it's only 12% of European films in Estonia screened, and it is going less and less. And if I compared some numbers, let's say, in Estonia we have 1.3 million people, but let's say it's 1 million. So if in 10 years ago it was 20% of European films, 20% of admissions, so it's 200,000. And there was 148 films released, so it's like 1,400 per film admissions, which is like kind of okay. But now it's 12%, and so it means 120 is divided by 175 films, which is released. So it's half less, so it's 700. And this is really robust numbers, but actually there are like higher films which are doing good, and then there are the other films. And the other films right now are getting like sometimes maybe 100 admissions, and in the market I would say that if there are so much production going on, then the filters who are doing the good curated program is of course at first financiers who gives the money for the making films, then festivals and sales companies who are choosing the films, then distributors, and then cinemas. But cinemas are really in the back end of all this, and I feel that cinemas really do need support to also support these European films which are screened. And I think these films which are chosen should be like very good, not just like average, whatever. Because I also see that in distribution, as ACME and Theatrical are such a huge percentage, but then for 13% of all the other films, there are 13 other distributors, because it's too easy to buy films now. It's very easy, but should we? This is the question. Like, where is why do we do it? I mean, either we just want to earn money, or we actually want to make a difference in the world. So I don't know. I think I think we all should think about what we screen and why we do that.
Well, you certainly have two very high-profile titles in your lineup, yes? Zone of Interest and Triangle of Sadness.
No, not Zone of Interest. I had Fallen
You only had it
Leaves.
for programming, not for...
For distribution, I had Triangle of Sadness,
Triangle of Sadness.
And Fallen Leaves, yes.
Okay, right.
Yes.
And did you have that for all three countries or just for Estonia? And how did that...
I have a good collaborator in Lithuania, so we shared the titles. So I did Estonia, and my good friend did the other.
Right, right. Yes, because you were mentioning this other, the company Apollo, and is it Hea Film? Good Film is the English title, and they have Universal, Paramount, and Walt Disney. I mean, they do have local titles as well. There's the film Lioness, which is Estonian, Latvian, and German. And then talking about horror, they have the horror film Azrael as well, which they are distributing alongside Gladiator 2, Wicked, and also The Shadow, the Estonian historical drama, which was released and then came to the Black Nights, where it had its a premiere there. So as far as, sorry, yes, Fallen Leaves. I don't know why I said Zone of Interest. Probably I saw it on your programming. Fallen Leaves, that was the one, wasn't it? Yes. And in addition, you have a cinema on an island on the western coast of Estonia.
Yes. So we opened in 2019. Lucky us, right? So it has been very tough, and of course we joined Europa Cinemas right after, like very fast. I'm really thankful for that, and we are very thankful for Estonian Film Foundation, who really came also to help us in the process of opening. But of course, on the small island, 30,000 people. In the city, there is 10,000 people, and we have also Apollo Cinema there. So it is very hard to survive. But we are really feeling that what we are doing in our cinema is really for our community and for the children and for the schools, and I really feel that with this strong content we can make a difference. But it is hard, and I really feel that this support what we are getting from state, it's too small to survive. So yeah.
And that's part of like an art center where you are. There's other activities happening there in the building.
It's also an alternative history museum, but and we do room rentals in there as well. But I would say that cinema is keeping it going.
Yes, I see in your programming, the Shadow, Jaak Kilmi's film, you're showing there, and a documentary here, Kelly, Someone Else's Dream.
Yeah, yes, we do a big focus on Estonian films, European films, but in our programming, as I think it's everywhere the same, that usually every week there is 5 to 11 films are released. So we are doing the slow programming. So we are really putting films, let's say twice, 3 times per week, but really a really long time. So to really give it a bigger possibilities to see it, and our audience is already quite used to like writing to me or asking, can you put this again, or can you accommodate this time, or we are very flexible, and we are really talking with our audience.
Yes. And the demographic, it's sort of a real mixture. Young people, they're not sort of after a certain age, once they left school, that they leave the island and come to the mainland. That's a problem. Yeah.
And then later they come back when they have kids, because it's good for growing up.
Yes. And summertime, would you have open air screenings? Is that something which you do as well, maybe?
As there was really hard times in between, so so we didn't have the finances for that. But this is my one dream.
Something for the future, yes.
But
yes, yes.
as you know, the Estonian weather is very even in summer.
And we don't have dark nights in the summer, so it's like a
Well,
technically a little
White Nights
yeah,
Festival.
we have
it
white
could be,
nights, so
yes,
it's
the
like
White
technically
Nights.
complicated.
I remember one year when you all came, where there was a Baltic focus in Locarno, and you all came down to Locarno and saying, "Oh, it's so much warmer here. The weather was so much colder and not so fine up in here in Estonia and Lithuania and Latvia." So one can't always rely, isn't it, on the summer weather being perfect. But then in Locarno they can't either for their open air screenings. You know, it can rain as well. So that's true. Thank you very much, Kristi. Let's now move to Algirdas. Maybe you can tell us about your distribution activities before we talk about the festival and such, but distribution, because now, I mean, as part of the festival, you had a distribution arm, but you've expanded last year, and now you're also operating and have an American distribution partner.
Well, hello. It's first of all, I would like to say thank you to Europa Cinemas to make this decision to come to Vilnius. This was a long-term dream, personal and also, yeah. So I'm very happy that it's happening here. So welcome to Vilnius, and hopefully the sun will come out to greet you. It's hard to talk about distribution on my side, not mentioning the festival, because we started the distribution because of the festival. We have some specifics. This is a small market, and buying films for festival, the rights cost a lot per screening, and we have small screens usually. So it's very expensive, and I always I don't know. It's very hard to go from the way around because I always talk from the festival perspective, but to make sure that the people would see the films, if you have like only 3 screenings in the festival, and these screenings are in 100-seat cinema. So that means that 300 people can see the film. But if there is a lot of passion about this film and people would love to see, how can we do it? So there will be more screenings. So we found this solution to the films that might have a bigger potential to buy a distribution rights. So we can have more screenings during the festival, after the festival, and then we can explore the rights later on and distribute this film. And this is also about taking care of our audience, because when a lot of festivals, they screen 400 films, and screening once or twice, I think that this is a torture of the audience, that they will see all of them, they see the different film, and they don't have a dialogue to talk and to discuss and to share their emotions. So this was our approach, and this is how we started slowly. And and this was a dream to make through the festival, to make these films, independent films, European films, to make them popular. And yeah, I cannot talk about distribution without the festival, sorry. But I think that the festivals play an amazing, crucial role in making these films, such a cinema, being popular, being visible, to being wanted to see, and because of the events, because usually these independent and European films, they are quite depressing. So leaving them, to be honest, leaving them alone, maybe the general audience would not want to come. But when you pack it up in a festival, in the event, in some kind of activities, as you know, in the cinemas, that works. So by doing these festivals and making them successful, and not only our festival, there's many more other festivals happening in the country, they are making the habits, making the understanding and loving these films. So that's why, after the long-term work of the festival, we have audience, for a bigger audience for these films. That's why there is like maybe more independent cinemas survived, to use the right word. There is more distributors, there is more the industry in general, the people, especially young people who see them, they get inspired, so they are trying to create their own films if you educate them, and this is, you can grow the next filmmakers, etc. So this is, I think, this is a crucial role of successful cinemas and successful festivals and bringing that to industry. And I think this is, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that this is a good example as a Baltics, that in Tallinn, Estonia has the very strong festival. In Lithuania, we have a very strong festival. In Riga, there's not such a strong festival. And somehow I believe that the market shares and the market, how it works for the independent or European films, is also reflecting the same in the numbers. So if there is a strong festival, that might have like a stronger industry in general. And we are trying our best to partner and be helpful and to help Riga, because we also need the strong market next to us. And we have one of the issues, for example, that if we want to buy a European title, let's say film from the festival for distribution, we cannot buy only one country, which is maybe not normal in anywhere else, but it's also common to buy in bigger territories. But we are even forced to buy 3 territories. Even because they are smaller, and the sales agents, they are, it's not, I don't know, they want to save some time and not to fill up the papers, too many contracts, etc. So we are forced to buy, but there's usually that there is not all of the films are released in these countries. We are now operate in all Baltic countries with the distribution. Before, we were trying to find partners and to get to give the films to partners, and so they can promote. Now we're doing it ourselves. We are partnering with the A24 for the 6 titles. We thought that it's gonna be a really big change. It didn't happen that big with these even amazing films. So this is kind of our, I would say it's not like a normal, regular distribution. We always combine it with the festival, and it's like an alternative distribution. We don't work, we work with the national films. We work with, I believe the best Lithuanian films that would do the best in the festival. So we are trying to give the voice and to show the directors and to promote the films, and we work on the national films. But these films would not travel to Baltics like other countries. They would usually they are not that successful. But we have one exception, and I think that will change a lot. This is the Flow animation from Latvia. They did an amazing shift in the box office in Latvia, and we will distribute it in Lithuania. So this is going to be, I think it should be a good example that, but also the rule that animation can travel, and this is without dialogue.
Well, that's even better. Yes, I mean, animation tends to be the one which is really international traveling. I mean, in Germany, the German animation as well are always in the top 10 each year. So that is always the best sellers as well. And as far as your festival, we'll just stay with the festival then. You don't just screen during the festival the films here in Vilnius, but you have them shown either during or after the festival. Selection are shown in other parts of Lithuania.
So I believe that we always had this creative approach on how to survive and how to be there for the audience. So the festival this year, the next edition will be the 30 years anniversary. So we are already for 30 years here. And we always try to be the audience festival and be there for them. So I'm so jealous that, I don't know, Wrocław Film Festival, they have 70% people are coming from other cities to Wrocław. We didn't manage, maybe it's about a culture, that all the Lithuanians would go to Vilnius for the festival. So if they are not coming to us, we decided to come to see them. And this is why we could do it, because of this approach that distribution, the films that we buy for distribution, we can have more screenings. If it will be just festival screenings, we will have only 3 screenings, so there will be no possibility to show it in other cities.
Right, yes.
Other things that, okay, we are a small city compared to Athens, London, Bucharest, I don't know, whatever, there's millions of people. We don't have that, but we have to pay for films the same amount as a festival fees. But okay, but if we don't have this audience, but we can choose and use the whole country as a city, and we can show our films in a different cities at the same time. So in 2019, it was our top year before pandemic. We had 125,000 admissions in a festival, and we were screening in 19 cities. So we were using every cinema. So for 2 weeks, the festival lasts for 2 weeks. All the cinemas were playing only independent festival films, which is, I think it's amazing. The people had the possibility to come and see those films. And after the festival is still the wave that the people are talking about those films and they want to see. So we are planning some more films, scheduling more films to screen. And maybe even the other distributors, they already know that this March time of the year, it's for the festival films, and the festival will take over more cinemas, and they are planning their releases, or maybe we are partnering and we are releasing some of the films in the festival. And yeah, before we will go to Gintaras, I also wanted to give a big shout out and thank you so much for so many years doing the job and giving a possibility in your cinemas to be able to screen national films, very diverse films. And I think this is an amazing example, especially for the Forum Cinemas Vingis, where the festival, our main venue, there's always, it's a multiplex film, multiplex cinema, but it's always a room for very diverse cinema. So what's happening with Apollo, it's more, it's even more for, maybe especially in Estonia and Latvia, that it's more for major studios and big films. But this was an example of, if we would work a long time and we will give this possibility, and if there will be a creative and partners that will be willing to work with this content, we can have the audience, and we can, for European films in multiplex cinemas. And even Apollo in Lithuania, they still also more flexible getting European films in their cinemas rather than in other Baltic states. So, so yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, talking about that, I mean, Ada, the Black Knights, then they were having screenings in Tartu as well as in Tallinn, weren't they? So
Yeah, in 2 cities, in Tallinn and Tartu, and then they were also using Apollo cinemas. So it's like
that's right.
November is basically the festival month, and it's very difficult other films to get to the screens, and that limits, of course, the screening times for Estonian films, because the summer is almost like a dead period. Nobody dares to premiere the film. So Black Night Film Festival takes like almost a month. So it's like, it's a very tricky situation. But as Miglė said, that it's like very difficult to distribute Baltic films in like Estonian films in Latvia or Lithuania. So it's like here I can see that the festivals are the place where the films can be screened. At Black Night Film Festival we have the Baltic Film Competition, especially. So, and also all the 3 film institutions in our countries have made organized the Baltic Film Days in August. So it's like also a platform to screen the films of the neighbors, so that there is at least some chance to see the films. And festivals, which is also important, that we mostly define the success of the film via feature films. But there are documentaries, there is short animation, short films. And for those, it's like the festivals are essential, so that these films can also reach the audience. Otherwise, nobody will see them. It's like very difficult to do, to distribute documentaries in the cinemas. Although in Estonia there have been like some success stories, like Smoke Sauna Sisterhood and some other films, but it's like it's not very common. It's like exception.
I think we have quite many documentaries that went quite good in the cinemas, national films. I just wanted to, it triggered one story, if I can share, from our festival experience regarding the documentary films. It was like 2018 or something. We were having in the festival 17 different programs. It's like masters, documentaries, discoveries, young talents, competition, animation. I don't know. It's like different type of programs. And one of them was a documentary, and when we see the numbers, the lowest attended films were documentaries. Like the program was documentaries, and we were thinking, what should we do about it? And we changed it from 17 programs. We changed to 5 programs only, and then we get rid of documentaries program in general, but then split it all these documentary films, because I adore the documentary films. We split it in the different sections, like Critics' Choice, Masters, Discoveries, Panorama. So, and we decided with the communication team and the programming team not to use the word documentaries, because I'm not sure how it's in different other countries, but in my opinion, in our country, documentary associated to the audience is to black and white World War archive footage with no voice and nothing like happening. So when we changed this, the numbers were that in the top 10 of the festival films was 7 were the same documentaries, but that we call them the real stories, real life things, and not to use this word documentary. So yeah, that's.
I don't have the results of the Black Night Film Festival yet. I know that there will be around 90,000 admissions this year. But regarding the documentary, because the Black Night Film Festival opened a new documentary competition program, and I guess it was quite successful. And also there were documentaries in the Baltic Film Competition, and I know that some of the screenings were sold out. So it's like, I can see the festival as a platform to, and if we're talking about documentaries, it's like you can, there are very few success stories, maybe like a Smoke Sauna Sisterhood, which traveled around the world. But it's like hardly impossible to see, for example, Lithuanian documentaries in Estonia or Latvian ones. It's like I can see the festival is the platform.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you. Gintaras, now, since you've been mentioned and we're here about your strategy and the fact, yes, that the festival has been a venue, has been found a home in your multiplex here in Vilnius, and probably in the other ones in the other parts of Lithuania. when there have been the other screenings. Can you tell us about how you are open to European independent art house films and how you see things developing?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for good words. Really pleasant to hear that. Kind of reward for your life achievement. Yeah, I'm 25 years already within the industry. So I'll try to squeeze everything in 8 minutes. That's the time I have, yeah? Oh. And I'll start. I'm not the alien addicted by Hollywood. Don't be afraid of me, despite the fact that I'm running a multiplex business in Lithuania as part of Forum Cinemas Baltic. Where did I start? Maybe that will explain a little bit why all these strategies of open door were and are always welcome in Forum Cinemas, Lithuania. Because I've started as a small distributor speaking French, who visited all possible distributors in Paris, spoke with everyone in 1997 or 8, and then I've started from the film called Miglė. Does anyone remember that? Then it was Andrzej Wajda's Polish film, also distributed through a French distributor, this Pan Tadeusz, Mr. Tadeusz, or whatever, big Polish and Lithuanian classic. And then my third film, and just to understand the spectrum or this big picture was James Bond, because we've got UIP in 1998. All three mentioned films did the same in box office. Miglė, Andrzej Wajda's Pan Tadeusz, and James Bond. So that was the beginning. Then I sold my distribution business. I joined exhibition. It was very interesting. And here in this exhibition part, I've started from family-run cinema theater with 4 screens through Scandinavian network. Then it grew up to Scandinavian UK and then USA. We joined AMC years ago, and then everything finished with COVID, and then I became local again. Then we have stories with Apollo too, but anyway, we are still independent because there are some state institutions seeing the situation as not more normal when one player is taking all. So diversity is still here. We are competing, I think, 4 different cinema networks plus family-run cinemas that also breathing pretty normally. So topic to understand Baltics. Very good topic. It's like to understand myself or all life of someone's life. Because from one hand, it's very different culturally, and languages are also always doing differences. But from the other hand, we are all here, and in most of cases, it's helpful. When stereo systems were invented 70 years ago or something, everybody told that cinemas, it's finished, it's gone, no more cinemas. Lie. We survived because we are social. Then home video was invented. Then everybody told, hey, listen, now you are gone. Now it's done. Finita la commedia. No, we are social. We survived. How did we survive? It's all about the technological inventions, most probably. That's my answer, because Dolby Stereo was the answer to the first crisis. Then picture and all the rest was the answer to VHS competition. And then the third blackout came up. It's called COVID. And then it was the first real crisis in cinema industry. And we are still suffering, not only cinemas, but all of us. because everyone who's involved in cinema business coming to the cinema door sooner or later. What happened during the COVID, cinemas were closed. And that was totally new situation, including Baltics. Cinemas didn't have money to invest soon after the COVID, because we all been squeezed by 2 years of doing nothing, or collecting losses, to be more precise. Producers, directors, best screenwriters, story writers, they signed off contracts with biggest online content providers. And those 2-3 years made a huge revolution in habits of previously cinema visitors. They understood that cinema can be watched at home. All festivals moved online during 2020 and 2021. Cinemas were closed. So it was a really big shift in the mentality of film consuming, maybe habits, that would be the right word. And what is going now, we still, cinema business, knocked down worldwide. We are doing comparably to UK or even Scandinavian markets here in Baltics. We are doing better, a little bit. The question why? What happened? And then I took, is it okay with time? Boo, if I'm too long.
No, you're okay.
And then what happened? I took statistics. I love statistics. I hate only lines. I love reading in between of lines, because that's the philosophy. So I analyzed 30 years. I didn't get numbers or total of 30 years in Estonia and Latvia. Friends promised to deliver me, but maybe time was too short. So I sorted out Lithuanian numbers only, but then I spoke with my Latvian and Estonian colleagues that it's pretty similar. Numbers are a little bit different, but strategies or how those numbers are varying, it's a little bit similar. So the answer I found is very interesting. In 30 years, I'm counting from 1991, when we've got rid from the Russian occupation. So in 30 years, 5,000 different films released in Lithuania, meaning 166 a year. And then more interesting is that I took 100 top films released in Lithuania, and guess what is the share of admissions or cinema goers and money? It's quite equal. What is the share of total? How much, what is the percentage of visitors if you take those 100 most popular or most profitable or whatever called films in Lithuania? Shoot someone.
80.
80. 18 or 80?
80.
No, it's less. It's 100 top films over 30 years takes 25% of all the market. Then it's even more interesting that 40% of those 25 belongs to dubbed animation, and 35 belongs to Lithuanian-speaking films, or national. Altogether, it's 75%, meaning that now I understand why we went through post-COVID years and growing up, because over 2023 and particularly over 2024 now, we've got privately funded films And these privately funded films, they are making the biggest impact on our numbers in general, as well as this dubbed animation, which is not only Hollywood, but also European films. We can partly treat it as national because it speaks local. When we, with Atis Amoliņš from Latvia and Aldo Tamsar from Estonia, in 2000, I think, and 1 or 2, went to London to speak with major studios about how to dub films, they told, all right, guys, we see your enthusiasm. You can try, place 100,000 on the table. If it fails, then we stop talking, but that's the guarantee. We took this guarantee, and all 3 countries dubbed first animated title. Guess which one it was? It was No. It was Shrek.
Shrek.
Hollywood, but that was a real breakthrough, and it's still there until now. Because if you take Lithuanian, Latvian, and Estonian top 10 every year, you'll find dubbed films there. Because it appeals families. And families don't want to speak any language except national. And actually, we have English as a key communication tool among Westerners. I would say that, having in mind circumstances now. But it's a happiness, it's a possibility, but then it's also, how do you call it? Not the problem, but maybe išbandymas.
Challenge?
Challenge? Yeah, maybe challenge. That's the word. Because people coming to cinemas, they don't like watching Swedish, German, Estonian, whatever it is, speaking films, because they can understand fluently, less fluently, more fluently English or national. So these 2 factors, they are key-driven factors why we have such a situation in Baltics, which is, from my perspective looking, is not very bad in general, because national films, of course we can laugh, because there are those national comedies, this is 200,000 euro budgeted films, 1 camera movies as we call it, but people coming, laughing and having a good time. We are showing it because everybody wants to see it. But again, if we clean this first look away and we take a look a little bit deeper into the picture, what is behind those national films, I can proudly say that #1 this year is a film about, it's a film about and from one guy who rowed across the Atlantic Ocean. He filmed how he did it. He made a film, and it's gonna be #1 this year from national films. So it means that people, they are not only looking for very entertaining, easily acceptable content. They are looking for different content, and they're looking for honest content. And this film is a honest proposal to the market. And it's really good. I mean, it really answers that our strategy back in 2002, when we opened our first multiplex, already being part of Finnish company. We joined Finnish company first of all. And this is how the first multiplex was built up. Then, very short inclusion. A friend of mine brought me a kind of framed 10 rules of Hollywood. I will not mention all 10, but I remember 5th and 6th. 5th was telling, if we sell tickets, it's an art. That was one rule. no, it was, we don't care about an art, we sell tickets.
That's, I believe.
Rule 6, if people buying tickets, then that means an art. So then I told, no, guys, we love irony and black humor, but that's not a go. And then we decided, hey, listen, let's open the door to everyone who's knocking the door. And that was a good strategy. We still, people are coming to visit festivals, to visit commercial films, to visit national films, and to visit dubbed films. So everyone is choosing by its habits, and we are growing, and it's good.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Gintaras. You have the biggest screen in Lithuania here, yes, in the Vilnius Multiplex. Yep. Biggest size screen. Yeah. And I saw you have like a ticket subscription program for the festivals. People in advance can like subscribe 5 or 10 tickets so that they can commit already to say, I want to see 10 films. I don't know what the program is yet at Pavasaris, but for the festival, but yeah, so there is, you're evidently a close companion.
Marketing steps, and it's in a close cooperation with festivals, actually. Sure. Festivals are creating their own sales or loyalty programs beside what cinemas are having and proposing to their clients. So this combination of 2 or both of those strategies are paying back.
Thank you. Maris.
Pleasure.
Now I come to you, also on the exhibition side, but not only exhibition, festival as well. But maybe you can tell us about your cinema. It's your 12th anniversary, 12 years in business now here in Riga. Yes.
Yeah, we are an art house cinema in Riga city center. It's gonna be 12 years, celebrated next weekend with Wim Wenders retrospective. Preparing for that, yeah, and we came with the initiative to organize bootcamp training that is supported by Europa Cinemas, and we organized it just very recently, the end of October, beginning of November, 3 days, and the idea came from a comparison, more or less from the data presented by Eda, to compare the 3 countries, the graphs, and you could see that Latvia is doing worse than the other 2 countries, and if you check attendance per capita or in relation to the population, then Estonians are doing having double the attendance compared to Latvia, as the 3 countries, we are very well placed to be compared because we have various similar contexts like geography, size, history, climate. So in the end, you don't have much of the excuses. This one is sticking. So you don't have a lot of excuses for the results, and maybe it makes sense that also someone from Estonia was presenting the results.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, Latvian would present it probably, you know, uninspired, low voice. Here again, Estonians are doing better. Yeah, the problematics so the problems that we gathered in the local industry were with an idea that we want to improve our work, or what can we do as a film market in general, and one of the main things is that, well, and I'm speaking from a perspective of a single screen art house cinema, so, you know, it's a specific perspective if you compare also with what the other people were talking before. Like, for example, we almost have no ACME films in our repertoire, so it's just a bit different world. And yeah, what we see is that there's a very approximate idea what the audiences are and how to reach them. There are no proactive policy strategies from the top, let's say from Film Center. The main idea is to produce local films, and that's it. And with all the challenges building up with all the recent years, you feel like, well, this is definitely a time when you need to have a very proactive support for the local companies, for the film studios, for cinemas who are, well, giving back the taxes and employment. Yeah, that part, and what concerns producers, distributors, cinemas, in general, it feels like the work is, done as usual, which means, yeah, no clear idea what the audience is. You kind of do the work more or less how we used to do, and then if lucky, something comes out good, like Film Flow suddenly has surprising results, and everyone is happy, and a bit, keeps away the topic of the other films that are in the repertoire and are not doing that well. Yeah, and in the end, we have a situation, well, when a producer would come to you and say, well, just take my film in your program, and you have that your Kino Bize audience, I'm like, okay, nice that you know our audience, because we're still guessing. And there's also a confusion who really does the marketing of films, especially art house films, and if it's a local produced documentary, because you haven't been involved as a cinema in financing, production, marketing, anything, and then you just simply get the film, you have numerous screenings in your program, there's no ticket sales, you're against the wall, there's no escape. You have to do something with the film, and if things haven't been done before, then this is the moment, and you have to unlock your little marketing agency that works for free and just come up with something. And in the end, what we have is that, yeah, small art house cinemas have smaller notes. And some of my notes are in Kristi's notes. So what we have in the end, coming back to the data, is that we don't have much data. It feels like it's expensive or just difficult, or that you need to pay to someone, but whom, you have no idea. So there's not much data collection and interpretation and work with the data in all parts of the industry. And when we organized in Baltic the bootcamp, one of the initiatives and ideas was that we really want to have all the industry, in the room, not just the cinemas, for the producers, for distributors, for Film Center to hear, what the experts, top experts, in the field would come and say about it, and the discussions especially. So in the end, what we have, without all the data and knowledge, we have a lot of guessing and a lot of gambling. And if we cannot in short term improve, I don't know, the national strategies or what the other parties in the film industry do, well, we definitely can improve our work in short term. We can go back to school, we can learn things, improve our qualification, and for that, bootcamp worked very well. And just to take away 4 points that worked well in the bootcamp was that we had most of the Baltic cinemas in one room. That doesn't happen, or at least I wasn't invited. But that was special, that was unique. It's not like it's our idea and we did it. We spoke with Kristi. Kristi mentioned that this idea has been in the air, and we've spoken also with Wilma from Skalvi and with Andres from Tartu, that this idea to come together and really, talk and bring together the issues that we have daily That happened for 3 days, and I hope that we'll come together at some point again, and that we don't need to organize it. Then also it was important and unique that Latvian cinemas came together for 3 days in one room, because that also doesn't happen, because, well, everyone looks at each other, you know, like you're a competitor, and there's no cinema association. So as a sector in the film market, we are weak, we don't have a voice. We struggle with each other, we complain in our, you know, circle somewhere, but we don't come together. That happened for 3 days, and that was also very nice, very good. Hopefully that also leaves some kind of mark, or just, yeah. And another one was that we were in the same room with multiplexes, because usually what we have, like here in all the events organized by Europa Cinemas or other organizations like CKA, we have exclusive crowd of art houses, and that's amazing, but it's, you know, a part of the industry. And it was very good to have the Latvian multiplexes inside the room, also because suddenly you realize you cannot talk bad about them. You cannot say that their audience go to watch simple films, you know, because they're in the room and they're not aliens. It's all fine. You realize that there's more similarities than differences. It's local people that wake up and go to work and try to fill up their cinema rooms the same like we do. That was very nice. One of the main multiplexes also expressed a wish that they might join, that they would like to join Europa Cinemas. You realize that that they don't have this community what we have, like we have now for 3 days. That of course there's a, you know, like Forum Cinemas would have a couple of the cinemas, and then you would come together inside, you know, the cinemas, and then people taking care of different branches. But there's at least as much as I know, and what I heard from the multiplexes attending, that they don't have this community, all these workshops and debates and presentations by the top people in the field. And as well, we can learn from them, because for sure they have much bigger share of the market, and they have a lot of rooms to fill, and they have much more developed systems and also data analysis compared to a small art house that makes notes on a paper. So there's things to learn from each other, and you can also maybe argue if the multiplexes would improve their work and have better numbers, that it would resonate and have better numbers also for art houses. I don't know. Again, data would help us to understand that for sure. I don't know if multiplexes would be ready to compromise their programs and show art house films where, I don't know, yeah, well, the black and white and depressive, and little babies get killed in the end. And the last point to point out, sharing data, which was just one of the things that came up in a workshop led by Julian from Netherlands Movies, Film Holland, and he showed an online page where all the distributors and cinema admission data is in one place. It's shared. Any distributor or cinema can go there and see everything. And you can pick your cinema, other cinemas, compare. You can see which film works better for you. Maybe it's your audience, your film, which doesn't. Should you push any of the films? Jessica from Sweden, from Firis Biografen as well, shared the same idea. And they also have data on a similar different page where they can see that all the admissions and compare them. In Netherlands, they have a bit more of the data because of the Cineville. They would have a bit more data on the registered audiences. So And at that moment, one of the multiplexes from Latvia got a bit confused because for us in Latvia, it's all secret. You know, you don't share it. It's confidential. It's competition. So one of the multiplexes representatives from a multiplex said, but what about data protection? What about the laws? You know, I think in Latvia the laws don't allow to do this, but well, I think that it's not controlled really by the laws. It's just a tradition that hasn't been changed, and suddenly we hear that you can do different. And yeah, very inspirational. You have two models in both the cinemas, and distributors are placed in an equal disposition. Like in one you see all the data, and in the other you don't. So it's really up to you how you use it, or how you compare, or how you integrate in your work. So that was the data sharing, and I don't know how it will go, and if in 10 years we can meet and it's going to change in, let's say, in our market. Who knows? But at least you get it out and you hear it. Yeah, that's to sum up.
Yes, well, it seems to be an inspiration and hopefully impetus for you to keep meeting, maybe not through this boot camp, but in other informal possibilities, either at festivals or other industry events here in the region. Kristi, were you a part of that as well? Were you on the boot camp?
Yes, I was very happy to be there and,
Yes,
really share the ideas, and I was so inspired by Netherlands. So maybe Cineville is something what Baltics should do. But I also wanted to, if I may, that about festivals, that Riga festival, in my opinion, is a very good festival, which is doing a great part in this region and in this country, and without them it would be even worse. And in Lithuania there is not only you, but there are several other major festivals which are also important. And about the marketings and stuff, I feel that as a distributor as well, that we don't know where people consume the information. Like, where will they find the marketing now? Because they are we can say that they are in screens, but where are in the screens? So actually you can just throw your money in the air and hope that right people will catch them. So I feel that in Baltics there are no central information for art house films, where to find them, what films are coming out. Even the cinemas sometimes or often find out in the same week that this film is coming out, but for the audience it's already 3 weeks too late. And if it's in cinema only 1 week or two, then it was too late from the beginning. So I think there is needs to be a big shift in the or changes in this industry, and maybe we should think about films as food. That organic food is the food what comes from the national content, which is good and which we have to pay attention. And maybe European films are like vitamins or supplements that we really need to nourish ourselves and for the brain food. And fast food, of course, it's always best place to earn money, but is it actually good for our health? So I don't know, it's too philosophical, but my idea.
I think
I reflect.
first Algirdas and then Ada. Okay.
I just wanted to reflect on this, and I think there is too much of lack of togetherness, like understanding on unity, what can be done, and too much in whole our industry is too much of against something, and we always like trying to go against. And this is amazing example, Marius, what you said, that the bigger cinemas was there, and you cannot talk about them bad, and you find out that maybe they are okay, maybe there's something to talk about. So I think that there is too much of against like US versus Europe, mainstream versus this, European this, and it's in the production, in the cinemas, in the distribution, festivals, it's everywhere this. But so I would like to, I don't know, point out that more of togetherness can save us, and because when we understand that all of us, we're sitting in the same boat, not you know, and going the same direction, then maybe things might be way much better in our. And what can we learn is if we will go against those stupid comedy, cheap commercial films that they do good in admissions, but maybe if we can embrace and we can learn, because there is a lot of same DOPs, same talents are working on this, just working on a very, very small budgets. But if we can work together, understand them, understand this, and going together, so then it would be way much better for all of us. And we should admit also one fact that doing films and also support and everything, there is on both sides, there is like good and bad things happening. And I hope in this conference there will be something that there will be brave people who will name that some bad things on overproduction and how it's done, and is it care enough about the audience? What can be done to reach, because would be said. So this is, I think it's also about the togetherness, but also naming what is the things that we need to improve.
Thank you.
Algirdas already said a bit, but yes, we should maybe I guess we should look behind the numbers. Yes, it's nice to be proud and say that Estonia, the per capita is so high, but basically what the people are watching, where these figures come, and what is in the top, and where is the responsibility. And on the other hand, as I worked for more than 20 years in the Film Fund, in the Estonian Film Institute. And of course, it's nice to report to the financiers that the market share of Estonian films is so high. But on the other hand, you can see where this percentage comes. This comes from the films which are not state supported. And on the other hand, the state is putting a lot of money into the production, and these films are not watched. It's, there is a, maybe we should rethink a little bit. Maybe we should focus more on marketing and distribution and promotion of these films. Of course, it's we are working in the free market, and everybody can do what she wants or he wants to earn the money. But I guess there is a little bit of responsibility lacking in this.
A lot, not little. Responsibility.
I have, can I add here?
Yes.
Generally, all worldwide, post-COVID, the eventization of, let's say, film premieres has become a trend, and it's natural because films, you want to kind of emphasize the social aspect of social experience in the cinema than just watching a film at home, for example. And we've had some very good examples here, for example, ladies' nights in Lithuania, where as soon as the new event is being announced, the halls are sold out. And why is that? Is because the audience knows what to expect in those events. They know that it's maybe once a month, maybe once in 2 months, but the quality of the product will be good. There will be goodie bags, there will be a program, there will be the quality of event will be will remain the same, let's say so, and they have a community of people then recommending to join the newsletters, so then it's very, very easy to reach them pretty much directly without even big advertising. And Kino is another example in Latvia, where they have these really sold out halls from their, let's say, loyal followers. And I think for small cinemas, maybe it's an idea to really do a pan-Baltic or just, locally, some kind of event series which could take this kind of experience from the festivals, where you build a community, where you start your newsletter for not only your cinema, but also other art house cinemas. And let's say last Sunday of the month is some kind of big event across the country in all art house cinemas, for example. And then you have this mass economy to be able to kind of to be able to advertise it more and so on. And it's just an idea that popped up right now. But I think this kind of eventization for small cinemas especially, it's something that can work. We had, for example, we had a film, Widow Clicquot, about the Champagne, the Empress. And we were not allowed to work with the Veuve Clicquot champagne brand because they didn't support the film. And we said, okay, it's a period drama, there are no known faces, the only thing we can sell is the champagne, and we can't even work with the champagne. What do we do? So, of course, then we contact sommelier courses, we contact wineries, we contact all kinds of distributors, and we say, like, look, come do something, host an event, can you give us some champagne? And we got some, and we got, we made events in small cinemas, actually, with ticket prices like 20 euros or more, which were sold out immediately, because you know that you will get like exclusive content there, and all it takes is some phone calls. So I think this eventization and having some extra value, and maybe replicating the same with the same film, for example, in several small cinemas, it could work.
Yeah, we do that. In small cinemas, art house cinemas usually do that because this is one way to.
It's quite common in Estonia. It started, I guess, like 10 years ago or even more. With and it started actually in art house cinemas, not the commercial ones. It started with the Cinema Sõprus and Artis.
Yes.
And then it like transferred to this model was taken over.
Would you have cooking competitions linked with Tasty somehow to get people? How would you market that film here?
Yeah, I mean, in the events we are not doing this, but what we also collaborate. In terms of collaborations, we collaborate with one of the biggest supermarket chains here, with advertising there, with bakeries and branded products and things like that. So it was activities.
Yeah. Okay.
But maybe back to you, that maybe if ACME is releasing a film all around Baltics, maybe you should put more effort in helping out Europa Cinemas network cinemas and not so much doing these special events in multiplexes. Just an idea.
I would say we really try to like put our strategy based on what kind of product we have, you know. For example, when we had this Veuve Clicquot, we really put effort to more like the art house cinemas. I mean, if we have some action blockbuster, I'm pretty sure they will not be interested. So we really try to somehow align it, and let's say with the local films, with the Tasty release, we are having. We're organizing events and providing in Lithuania, in Romuva, in Skalvija, and Garsas, and Pasaka, like all the, let's say, art house cinemas, providing with partner gifts there and inviting the teams and so on. So
yeah,
I think
we had with Wonka some extra goodies, which was very nice.
Yeah.
Algirdas, you had something you wanted to add, or was it something?
I'm not
another,
sure if
another issue?
it's a nice thing to end, because I think it's getting to the end. But I think it's very important to tackle this theme, that one of the biggest challenges now in our markets, I believe, is especially in the art house films and distribution, is Russian influence on our markets. And how it's happened that way, and maybe for a lot of people it doesn't sound like a common thing, but we, especially in Lithuania, you will see a lot of Ukrainian flags. When you came here, you definitely see it. And sorry to be to pool party, but you know that even the colors for this conference to choose, it's just that's how we are sensitive we are, and that means that how does it work? that if we want to buy a film from the sales agents, they are selling the film to a bigger buyer. The bigger buyer means a Russian buyer. And since our independence, we are fighting to be independent countries in terms of territories that is sold for films. So we made it somehow at one point, but then now again, after war, when majors, they banned their content for Russia, they started to buy independent European content, and not they are just buying Russian territories, but they're buying all the territories around. And it's out of the mind that Russian buyers, they're buying also in Ukrainian rights and Georgian rights and Baltic rights. And in our mindset, this is this nightmare that happens next door, and we have our values that we would never do the business with the Russians, especially in this time of the year, in this especially time. And now we are forced to buy a film. If we want to screen a film in the festival, if we want to screen the film and be a distributor, we are forced to buy a film from dirty Russians because they bought our territory, and somebody sold these films, and even sometimes these films are funded by European Union, and they are sold to Russians, and now we have to buy it through that. I'm sorry to being emotional, but this is crazy situation that nobody tries to help us solve it. And I know that legally it's really hard to solve. It's really hard to solve. They are so good in hiding and doing things around, and the Russian companies, they're coming to us and said, you can buy us, I'm not gonna do the business with you. I said, no, but it's okay, we have a London-based company. You know, it's okay, we can do this. No, it's not okay. And I'm sorry, but this is really hard. And even we have in our market, we have distributors that are okay to work with those companies, and they are still operates, and they're changing the names from Volga films to different films, and etc. And they are operating the same. So this is not okay, but this is legal because you can go around. And yeah, and this is I thought that this is really worth to mention. Yeah, and maybe somebody else could take it.
Maris.
Just to add to the topic and a bit about the fragmentation of Latvian market that lacks local cinema network, relates to the topic of subtitles that Miglė already mentioned. Especially during the last few years, it's very chaotic of what we receive. Like as a cinema, you receive a film and you know that there's definitely going to be Latvian subtitles, and the second line you guess, because the tradition was to have Russian subtitles for one or another reason. And now lately it's been changing, so local Latvian producers, they're releasing films already for a few years only with Latvian subtitles or with Latvian and English subtitles, but then larger distributors would still provide films with Latvian and Russian subtitles. So there's a confusion, there's no common standard, the cinemas don't come together and really speak about it or to tell the distributors what would be the, or I'm not saying that to tell, do like that, but at least to have the discussion, like why are we still, is it because we're still having like a percentage of Russian speakers who live for 4 generations since the last century, middle of the last century, that they still need Russian subtitles? But it's changing, especially because of the war happening. Also because audiences started questioning. Audiences started to write on social media to forum cinemas because they're the biggest multiplex. They started asking questions, why are we having Russian language on the screen? They started to explain, because the distributors give us the films, we cannot do anything. But then as one of the major cinemas, you could ask, but they don't. But yeah, so that's a bit fragmented, confusing, and yeah, that's the situation. And asking for the English subtitles as the second line, because it makes sense for us, the audience. We have local audience and English-speaking audience, the Erasmus students, the people who move to Latvia to live. So there's usually a question, is there English subtitles for the films? And we would love to have them, but usually it's even in the contracts. Well, when the sales agents sell the films to distributors, it says you can have it in your local language, and the other one you can have Russian. Like, why would French company ask for us to have Russian in our films? But that's the case. So it's kind of not even legal. Again, we come to the point that it's kind of not illegal. Is it that it's not legal? We spoke with Veju from Skalvi. Well, it was late night, and after a few drinks, I don't remember who she referenced, but she said, they cannot actually ask that we can show English subtitles. So I don't know, maybe one day we'll come to the fact that we can maybe have local subtitles and English subtitles. That for us as a cinema would make much more sense.
I guess in Estonia is the same problem, but we still have the Russian subtitles. It's like it has like two aspects. One is the emotional aspect. Yes, it would be nice to have only Estonian or English subtitles. But the other aspect is that we are cutting these 1/3 of the population out of our culture totally. We will stigmatize them, and we are basically like creating enemies for ourselves. So it's like it has like two aspects. There is like not one good solution. But this generation who speaks only Russian is like getting older and older, and then one day they don't go to the cinemas anymore. And the younger generation of Russian speaking, they speak English fluently and then speak more Estonian. So it's like this problem will solve, I guess, by itself soon.
Thank you very much, Ada. Well, we've had 2 hours where we've had a real insight into how your market functions, or how it could function, or how it should function. And I don't know if there are any questions from the audience. If anybody has anything burning they wish to ask. Otherwise, I'm sure you've now got a couple of hours time now to ask people during the coffee break and the outside. You've seen the people here, and there are probably other colleagues here from the region that you could speak to as well. But we certainly have another until Sunday opportunities to learn more about the 3 countries and how their markets work. But if not, then I would like to thank the panelists again for their contributions. And also for your interest, and I look forward to lots more interesting facts and figures and insights to how the European cinema distribution markets are working and how they could work in the future. Thank you again. Thank you.